All right, kiddos, we are on to 5.3 work together, where we will be journalizing some dishonored checks. We'll also be journalizing some EFT and some debit card transactions. So, a real short work together today, which is kind of nice after a couple of longer ones this chapter. So we've got a few transactions here. We also have our chart of accounts in case, of course, you need to reference that for any reason. So essentially, our only directions are that we need to enter the transactions on page 15 of our journal. So let's hit it right away. It says on August 18th, we received notice from the bank of a dishonored check from Christine Iverson for $126 plus the $25 fee for $151, memorandum number 312. So remember, what a dishonored check means is that Christine Iverson paid us. And we can't see this because our journal doesn't go back that far. But what we would have done is we would have credited our accounts receivable and we would have debited cash because we assume that when we received the check from her for $126 that she was paying us. However, when we sent it to the bank and the bank tried to run it, she didn't have $126 in her account. So that is an example of a dishonored check or an NSF or non-sufficient funds check. So what we actually have to do is we need to debit that back into our accounts receivable because technically she hasn't paid us yet and we need to credit our cash. And we talked about that during the lecture, but just want to make sure that you're understanding where those numbers are going to be going. So of course we're in August. It's the first line of our journal, so we do need to put August 18th. And then, as I said, our account title for the general debit, general credit section is going to be accounts receivable dash Christine Iverson. Our document number is memorandum 312. And our debit is for the total. So she owed us $126, but there was also a $25 NSF check fee. So she now owes us $151. The $151 is the amount that we're going to use. So we're going to debit her accounts receivable, meaning we're going to increase it. And then we have to credit our cash because we had to essentially pay the $25 fee to the bank. And then we also technically didn't get that $126 we thought we did. So that is our first transaction, is recording a dishonored check. Our second transaction is for August 20th. It says we paid cash on account to Schwartz Enterprises for $270 using an EFT. So EFT, remember, is an electronic funds transfer. And even though we didn't write a check, because we didn't write a check, we cannot use a C as our source document. That's hence the reason why we have another memorandum. However, the way we record is still the same. So we come down here, we don't need August again, so we just put the date of the 20th. And then we paid cash on account to our Schwartz Enterprises, which means that we paid off a liability. So it's going to be accounts payable dash Schwartz Enterprises, memorandum number 313. And since we're paying off our liability, that means that we're debiting it. So we're going to debit for $270 and credit cash for $270. And then our last transaction is on August 21st. August 21st, we purchased supplies for $62 and we used a debit card. So once again, we didn't write a check, so we have to use memorandum. However, still recorded the same way. So 21st, we received supplies. This is M314. So supplies is going up with a debit of 62, and our cash is going down with a credit of 62. So like I said, a pretty easy day today. Nice and simple, few transactions. So go ahead, do on your own, do your application, and get caught up on those terms and questions if you haven't already, because they will be due on our next lesson day, which is 5-4. That's our last lesson in chapter 5. So head on over and work out those problems.